You've made it past 70. You've raised children, survived decades of stress, and you might think you've earned the right to rest. Or perhaps you've convinced yourself you simply don't need as much sleep anymore. After all, isn't it normal to sleep less when you're older? That belief may be killing you faster than you think. Because here's the truth. This isn't just about feeling a little tired during the day. It's about your brain slowly unraveling, your heart giving up one day without warning, your independence slipping through your fingers until you're trapped in a body that won't obey. And worst of all, you might never see it coming until it's too late. Today, we're exposing the 5 terrifying risks of sleeping too little after 70, and how ignoring them might make your final years not just shorter, but lonelier, darker, and more painful than you ever imagined. 1. Silent brain decay. The cognitive collapse. You'll never notice until it's too late. It starts so quietly, so innocently, you almost dismiss it. You forget a name. You walk into a room and can't remember why. You search for a word that's just on the tip of your tongue, and you joke about it. I'm getting old, huh? But what if it's not a joke? What if it's not harmless forgetfulness, but a warning sign that your brain is beginning to fail you? Sleep is the single most important function your brain relies on to maintain itself, especially after the age of 70. During deep sleep, your brain flushes out toxic proteins like beta amyloid, which are directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. It consolidates memories, repairs neural connections, and rebalances chemicals crucial for thinking, focus, and emotional stability. But without enough sleep, specifically deep, uninterrupted sleep, this maintenance doesn't happen. Let's be blunt. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it damages your brain. One major study showed that older adults who consistently sleep less than 6 hours a night had a 30% faster cognitive decline than those who slept at least 7 hours. That's not just slower thinking. That's losing the ability to recognize your children's faces, losing language, losing control. The most terrifying part? You likely won't notice the change until it's too late. Cognitive decline in seniors often goes unrecognized, because the brain itself is the organ that's failing. But your family sees it. Your friends feel it. They notice when you repeat yourself, when your temper shortens, when your thoughts trail off mid-sentence. You become less you, and the people you love begin to quietly grieve someone who's still alive. There's a heartbreaking story of Harold, 73, who always believed a man doesn't need much sleep. He ran on 4 to 5 hours a night for decades. By 76, his wife had to remind him how to use the microwave. At 78, he forgot his wedding anniversary, then her name. By 80, he couldn't feed himself. All because he ignored the one thing that could have slowed it down: sleep. If you've convinced yourself that waking up early or sleeping less is a sign of toughness or discipline, stop. That mindset is a silent assassin. Every night you skip sleep, your brain pays a price. And eventually, that price is your identity. 2. Heart failure in the dark. When your heart gives up while you sleep, or try to, you don't feel it. Not at first. A little fatigue here, some shortness of breath there. You brush it off. Maybe it's age, maybe just a rough night. But while you ignore the signs, your heart is silently struggling to keep up. And if you're over 70 and sleeping less than 6 hours a night, that struggle can turn fatal without warning. You see, the heart is not a machine that works endlessly without maintenance. It relies heavily on sleep to regulate vital systems like blood pressure, inflammation, and heart rhythm. When you deprive yourself of sleep, whether intentionally or because you believe older people just sleep less, you're essentially revving the engine with no oil. The result? Damage. Irreversible and often deadly. Scientific studies show that individuals over 70 who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours per night have a dramatically increased risk of heart attacks, arrhythmias, and even sudden cardiac arrest, The connection isn't vague, it's proven. Lack of sleep triggers the body's stress response, flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline, forcing your heart to beat harder and faster even while you're lying still in bed. Over time, this constant overexertion weakens the heart muscle, thickens the arteries, and invites heart failure. Here's what's most chilling. Many seniors don't realize it's happening. They don't feel a dramatic pain in the chest. Sometimes the first sign is fainting. Sometimes it's waking up breathless. And sometimes it's not waking up at all. Take Margaret, 75. Her family begged her to start sleeping more. She dismissed them, saying, "I've always been a light sleeper." She died suddenly in her sleep. The autopsy revealed advanced heart damage. No stroke, no cancer, no trauma. Just years of untreated sleep deprivation her heart could no longer survive. This isn't scare tactics. This is your biological reality. Your heart is older now. It doesn't recover like it used to. Every night you cut short, every hour you lose, you're placing more and more pressure on the one organ that has to work 24/7 until your final breath. Want to live longer? Want to see your grandkids grow up? Then give your heart what it needs most. Rest. Consistent, uninterrupted, deep sleep. Because otherwise, the next night might be your last. 3. Emotional breakdown. From irritability to isolation and depression. You wake up already irritated. The little things set you off. Your spouse chewing too loud, a phone ringing, the weather. Conversations feel exhausting. You don't want to answer the door. You don't want to talk. And sometimes, you don't even know why. What if I told you this creeping emotional instability isn't just old age? What if it's your brain screaming for help because you're not sleeping enough? After 70, emotional resilience becomes more fragile than ever. And sleep deprivation is one of the most common and underestimated triggers of mental breakdown in older adults. It's not about being tired. It's about what happens chemically when your brain is denied rest. The production of serotonin and dopamine plummets. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises. Your emotional regulation starts to collapse. And when that happens, even small disappointments can spiral into deep sadness or uncontrollable rage. This isn't just moodiness. This is the gateway to late-life depression. And the cost? It's staggering. Depression in seniors is often missed or ignored. It's written off as grumpiness or natural withdrawal. But untreated depression can lead to severe cognitive decline, rapid physical deterioration, social isolation, and yes, suicide. It's a silent epidemic, and sleep is right at the center of it. Imagine losing control of your emotions, snapping at your children, pushing your spouse away, shutting yourself off from friends. You become someone no one recognizes, someone you don't recognize. And before long, you're alone. Not because people don't care, but because the version of you they knew, kind, warm, loving, faded into exhaustion and bitterness. Remember George? At 74, he stopped sleeping well. Within months, he withdrew from his family, lost interest in hobbies, and began showing signs of paranoia. He accused his daughter of stealing. He cut off his best friend of 30 years over a minor disagreement. He died alone in his apartment, malnourished, surrounded by unopened mail and unanswered calls. This is what chronic sleep loss can do, not just to your body, but to your soul. But there's hope. Restoring just one more hour of sleep per night can dramatically improve emotional balance, reduce anxiety, and reignite your desire to connect. Therapy, light exposure during the day, and consistent bedtime routines can help rebuild your emotional stability. You don't have to become a shadow of yourself, but only if you act now, before the damage becomes permanent. 4. The fall that ends it all. Physical weakness and loss of independence. One slip, one uneven floorboard, one moment of dizziness. And just like that, your entire life can change forever. It's a nightmare scenario for anyone over 70, but it happens every single day. A fall that leads to a hip fracture, a traumatic brain injury, or spinal damage. And yet, few realize how closely this is tied to something as harmless as poor sleep. You may think you're just waking up a little tired, moving a bit slower, needing a second to regain balance. But in reality, your body is failing to repair itself because you're not sleeping enough. You need to understand this. Sleep is not just rest. It's biological maintenance. During deep sleep, your muscles rebuild, your nerves reset, your balance centers recalibrate. But without enough of it, especially consistent, high-quality sleep, your coordination starts to falter. Your legs become weaker. Your reaction time slow. Your ability to stay steady on your feet drops dramatically. One study found that seniors who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night are 40% more likely to experience a serious fall, and that risk skyrockets if they also take medications for blood pressure, anxiety, or sleep, which many elderly people do. Think it won't happen to you? Think again. Most seniors who suffer life-altering falls say the same thing. I felt fine the day before. Consider Evelyn. She was 78, healthy, independent, lived alone. She prided herself on staying active, but she had trouble sleeping, decades of brushing it off, calling herself a light sleeper. One night, she got up to use the bathroom. The hallway was dark. She lost balance, hit the floor, and shattered her hip. Surgery followed, but the pain never fully left. She couldn't walk without assistance. She never returned to her own home again. This is the terrifying truth. One fall can take away your freedom forever. Your home, gone. Your privacy, gone. Your dignity, slowly stripped away in a facility where you rely on others for the most basic tasks. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can start by protecting your sleep. Set a strict bedtime. Avoid screens late at night. Make your bedroom a sanctuary. Prioritize your safety like your life depends on it, because it does. Independence isn't just about strength, it's about prevention. And that begins with sleep. 5. Immune system shutdown. How sleep loss makes you vulnerable to everything. You can't see it. You can't feel it. But if you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night after the age of 70, your immune system could be shutting down from the inside out. And when it does, even the smallest threat, a cut, a cough, a handshake, can be enough to send you spiraling into life-threatening illness. Let's talk biology. Your immune system is a complex army. Cells, proteins, chemical signals, all working together to find and destroy harmful invaders like viruses, bacteria, and even cancer cells. But this army only trains, organizes, and activates itself during sleep. Without enough deep rest, your body doesn't produce enough T cells, which detect and attack threats. And your inflammatory markers spike, confusing your system into attacking healthy tissues instead. Think about that. You're not just unprotected, you're at war with yourself. Now add age to the equation. After 70, the immune system is naturally less responsive. It takes longer to produce antibodies. Recovery from infection slows down. Vaccines don't work as well. Your body is already operating on a weaker defense. And if you rob it of sleep, you're basically turning off the alarms, removing the locks, and opening the doors wide. A good night's sleep can boost your immune function by up to 60%. But if you consistently sleep too little, your chance of catching common infections like the flu or pneumonia doubles. And the outcome? Often devastating. Let's look at real-world consequences. A man named Peter, 79, had been healthy all his life. barely got sick, always active, but he had chronic insomnia, 5 hours a night if that. He brushed it off. Then came a common cold, but for Peter, that cold became a chest infection. That infection turned into full-blown pneumonia. Within weeks, he was in the ICU. He never came home again. People say it was bad luck. It wasn't. It was years of immune erosion, hidden behind a smile and a false sense of security. And it doesn't stop with infections. Cancer surveillance, the body's ability to detect and kill early cancer cells, relies on sleep. Studies have shown that chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of multiple cancers, including colon, prostate, and breast cancer. Why? Because natural killer NK cells, your first line of defense against tumor cells, drop by up to 70% after just one bad night of sleep. Imagine what happens after weeks, months, years. Then there's inflammation, your body's silent killer. Poor sleep causes systemic inflammation that contributes to arthritis, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and heart failure. It's a domino effect. One broken system begins to trigger failures in the others. And before you know it, you're not fighting one disease, you're fighting 5. Here's what makes this even more terrifying. No one will warn you. There's no sudden pain, no flashing lights. Your doctor may not even notice until it's too late. You'll just start getting sick more often. Take longer to heal, feel tired, fragile, vulnerable. And one day, something minor becomes something fatal. But here's the good news. This isn't irreversible. You can take back control. You can rebuild your defenses, starting tonight. Create a wind-down routine. Turn off all screens 60 minutes before bed. Keep your bedroom dark and cool. Don't eat too late. Avoid alcohol and caffeine. Go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, even weekends. If you struggle with chronic insomnia, speak to your doctor immediately. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, has shown life-changing results, even in older adults. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity, and at your age, it's your most powerful shield. The difference between getting the flu and ending up in the ICU could be 1 hour of missed sleep. The difference between fighting off early cancer or letting it grow unnoticed might be what time you go to bed tonight. Don't gamble with your body's last line of defense. You've come too far to let something preventable take you down. Sleep, real, deep, consistent sleep, isn't optional anymore. It's survival. This is your final wake-up call. You're not 40 anymore. You can't afford to ignore sleep. Not now. Not when your brain, your heart, your emotional balance, your body, and your immune system are all counting on it. Don't wait until you're in a hospital bed wondering where everything went wrong. Don't become the person your family has to make decisions for. Tonight, make a choice. Go to bed earlier, protect your rest, and give your body the one thing it's begging you for. You have more control than you think, and you owe it to yourself and everyone who loves you to use it. This isn't about comfort. This is about survival, and tonight could be the night that saves your future.